Am I the asshole for making my wife think our son was missing? My wife has a horrible habit that I discovered 2 months ago. We were ordering lunch on the Subway app and I told her to pick the location that has a drive-thru, that way we don't have to go inside and take the baby out of the car just to clip him back in a few minutes later. She told me it's not a big deal to leave the baby in the car to run in and pick it up really fast. I had no idea she ever did this. I told her I was not comfortable with her leaving him in the car alone even for a minute, and she told me she's been doing it since he was born and it's always been fine. She told me she does it to pick up food, run into the post office or pharmacy, etc. I was floored. We don't live in a horrible area, but it's also not super safe either. I told her to not ever do this again. She told me she never stopped to think about the potential dangers and that she would stop doing it. Well, yesterday as I was driving home from my brother's house, I spotted her car at the gas station near our place. It was parked in a spot up front and not a pump, so I figured she stopped in to grab some snacks, which we like to do. I decided to stop and go in and say hi and get some food, and I pulled in and parked next to her. However, when I got there I was furious to find our son in his car seat. The car wasn't even locked. I don't know what came over me, but in that moment I decided to take my son and put him into my car. He's got a car seat in there too. I then drove to the other side of the gas station parking lot and waited for my wife to come out. It took 6 minutes for her to appear. When she saw that he was gone, she looked stunned for a second and then started to frantically look around and cry. I didn't let it go on long. After this I saw her pull her phone out, presumably to call 911, and that's when I pulled my car around to her. I parked, got out and walked around to my son's door, and opened it to show him to her. She looked extremely relieved, but that quickly turned to anger with her asking me why I took him and did that to her. I told her she needed to learn her lesson and she promised to stop leaving him in the car, and that she was extremely irresponsible. It was so easy for me to pull up and take him. No one else at the gas station even noticed. So if he really was taken, there would have been no help and it would have been 100% her fault. She proceeded to call me cruel and psychotic and tried taking our son out of my car into hers. I said no and that I would be driving him home, and I left. She came home not much later but ignored me the rest of the day. She acknowledged me today saying she wanted an apology, and I said absolutely not, and she's the one who should be saying sorry. She's been guilt-tripping me the rest of the day, saying no mother should experience the fear I put her through. Did I go too far? Am I the asshole? Normally I'm fully against game playing, but this is your child's life. I support your actions. Your wife is being hugely neglectful. Not to mention it'll be warm soon, and being left in a hot car even for a few minutes can be deadly. Not the asshole, and I wouldn't let her take him anywhere until she apologizes. Honestly, not the asshole in my views. She leaves your son unattended in an unlocked car. Not only can he get kidnapped, but 5 minutes during a hot summer day can be enough for a heatstroke. Or someone stealing the car, not realizing a kid is on board. Or a million other risks or dangers. You asked her not to do it again. She agreed and still did it again. I wouldn't leave my kid with her to run an errand again. Not the asshole, but I have to say, what would happen if your wife forgets or she takes longer? Have you read about babysitting in hot cars and what can happen? Being kidnapped is only one of the many awful outcomes. Not the asshole. Your wife is right. No mother should have to experience that fear, and she opens herself up to it constantly. She deserves what she got. Not the asshole. It was cruel but absolutely necessary. Your wife is putting your son in danger when she leaves him alone in the car. Not the asshole. She needed the reality check. Normally, I'd be very against this type of thing, but you'd already spoken to her and she lied to you and kept doing it. This could end not only in a kidnapping but in CPS involvement for your family. If she doesn't stop, I'd hesitate to let her drive your child anywhere. Not the asshole. Yeah, you freaked her out, but I think it was totally necessary. You already explained to her why she shouldn't do it and she decided to lie. I don't really see any other way you could have demonstrated it other than just waiting by the car and saying something like, "I could have taken our son," which she wouldn't have taken as seriously. Also, your wife sounds like a complete fool. Honestly, I have no idea where you are, but in a few months it will become very dangerous to leave your child in the car for any amount of time, due to the heat. Leaving your door unlocked, even without a kid in the car, is just dumb, especially for such a long time. Your wife is neglectful. Maybe now she won't put your kid at risk. I'm gonna say not the asshole. In some states her behavior is actually illegal, assuming you're in the US. To me, this would honestly be grounds for a divorce and Jay would go for full custody and contact CPS. If I found a random child locked in a car in the middle of a grocery store parking lot, I'd immediately call the police and CPS on the spot. She's putting your child in danger on a regular basis and doesn't even seem to realize that what she's doing is wrong. Am I the asshole for ruining a small business after they tried to steal my dog? Yay, I know this is crazy. I wish it were fake LMAO. Anyways, I'm decompressing and need a judgment because friends and family are split and now I'm feeling guilty. I am expecting my first kid soon. I'm 8.5 months pregnant and I didn't want to do the usual bathing and nail trims on our dogs as my mobility is limited. We used to have a groomer we took them to a few times a year while I did monthly maintenance in between, but they closed during the pandemic, so we decided to try a new one. I have 2 purebred dogs that came from a rescue and both have had, now managed, behavioral issues since I adopted them. My Dane loves people and has been around small children before with no issues, but he is terrified of other dogs. He has never hurt another dog, but he will bark and get fearful if one runs up to him if I haven't been able to brace him, and so of course since he's so big he looks very scary when he's barking. Our corgi on the other hand has severe separation anxiety and doesn't mind dogs or people but hates being left home alone or being away from me specifically. Our old groomer let me come in with the dogs, but the new groomer said I wasn't allowed on the phone. I talked through my dog's problems with her and she assured me she could handle it. I even paid for an extra 1/2 hour so my Dane would have time to get out without running into her next client. Since I wasn't allowed to come in and it's usually harder on the corgi leaving me than leaving my husband, he decided to drop them off. He mentioned to the woman, "Home run groomer." I was expecting when he dropped the dogs off and apparently she gave a bit of a face but said nothing. When he went to pick the dogs up she gave him our corgi but said she was seizing the Dane as he had been aggressive to one of her dogs. I was assured he wouldn't be subjected to strange dogs at all. And as we were expecting a baby she couldn't give us back a reactive dog. There isn't enough to the char limit to detail what the next 7 hours were like, but it escalated to me calling the cops to finally get my dog back. It was the worst experience. I ended up blasting her business on social media in the heat of things, and I think something also happened with the police as all her pages were down the next day. It seems like she's closed completely. I really feel like my reaction was justified, but some friends have called me a mega Karen and my mom said she was probably just genuinely trying to look out for our unborn baby and I went too far, but to me it was a huge overstep and illegal. I've also worked in rescue and worked with progressional trainers with these dogs, and if anyone had said they posed a threat it would have been different, but as mentioned they have no history of aggression to people and as with any dog, will never be left unsupervised with our baby or have access to them at all without safeguards anyways. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. This woman didn't have the authority to seize your dog. If you have to call the police to right the wrong of a ridiculous business owner, you have every right to leave a negative review wherever you please. No, a dog groomer that, after careful explanation of a dog's personality and a request and paying for accommodations, attempts to seize a client's dog because they ignored everything they were told, can't stay in business. You're doing a service warning people of a potential terrible experience around a paid-for service. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She tried to keep your dog from you. WTF. If this had been my dog I would have called the cops and put her on blast too. She has no business being a dog groomer if this is how she's going to act. Groomers aren't dog catchers. This was an attempted dognapping. You're not a Karen. Karens get mad at families' barbecue in the park hurting no one or go ballistic on people wearing a mask. They were causing harm. You can make a commotion when people steal or hurt others. Not the asshole she tried to steal your dog. How the hell does she think she is authorized to seize an animal? Or make decisions about your home life or confiscate your property? Maybe she had a buyer lined up? I can't actually believe your friends have called you a mega Karen. You are nowhere near a Karen, never mind a mega one. You know your dog better than anyone who's met them once. You're having a baby, you're not about to put your baby in danger. A vet told me years ago my tiny dog needed behavior classes because he is so aggressive, one day he'll bite a child. She had just prodded and poked him while he was feeling poorly and was sticking a thermometer up his bum when he went to nip her. He adores kids and will happily play with them for whores. 100% not the asshole. Not the asshole she stole your dog. I work in the animal industry and you are very not the asshole. Not the asshole. The police probably found other suspicious things there. Am I the asshole for harshly telling a guy who burnt me that apology is not good enough? I am a blacksmith apprentice and we have this guy, 17 at the workshop who is basically a walking safety hazard. He isn't very keen on doing what he should be doing, gets distracted easily, then gets bored and everything he touches he treats like fidget spinner, be it his keys, bottle of water, a glove, a hammer, tongs. You name it. This isn't very pleasant not only because he frequently drops said homemade, fidget spinner, but he occasionally hits someone with it. Any attempts to get him to stop have been futile so far. When he causes an accident, he is always extremely sorry and behaves for a little while, then starts doing it again. I know that he has some mental health issues but I am not sure if they have something to do with that. Few times he mentioned therapy sessions while leaving an hour or two early, but I didn't want to pry. Anyways, today he was forging a bell and sure enough, he started to play with the tongs with the hot metal in it. He dropped it, and the swing sent it flying towards me, burning my forearm. We are talking orange heat here, so around 800 degrees Celsius, 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, which, of course, was quite unpleasant for me. Again, he was extremely apologetic and he rushed to the first aid kit to get me panthenol, but I was quite angry with him, and even though this was actually the first time he spun around a piece of hot metal to my knowledge, I basically hissed at him to shove it until he learns to not endanger everyone in the workshop. It was longer rant though, including scolding him for always spinning the things around. He was on the verge of tears, hid at the toilets for half an hour and then basically acted invisible until it was time to go home. In the time he was gone I was told by few of the other guys in the workshop that it was time that somebody put their foot down, and they basically cheered, which made me immediately alerted. They can be quite assholes towards him, even when he's not actually doing anything wrong, that I might have been too harsh. I do stand by what I said. The apology is basically meaningless when he keeps doing the same thing over and over again, no matter how many times someone tells him that it's a giant nope. But I also feel really bad over being harsh on him and making a scene when he's already unpopular in the group and has mental health issues to deal with on top of that. Am I the asshole? And #X200B. Edit. Thank you for all the comments, guys. I try to read them and reply when there is some uncertainty or the like, but there is a lot of them, so I am sorry if I missed yours. I'd like to clear up some misunderstandings and answer some questions that tend to repeat. The apprenticeship is not a part of a job. We are learning the trade in a school-like environment. The guy and I are classmates, but I am older. I already finished my school. This is more of a hobby for me. I didn't tell the foreman about the incident, but I am going to tomorrow. Not the asshole. Mental health issues do not excuse behavior issues when attempts are not made to alleviate them. Signed, a therapist with mental health issues. Not the asshole. He legit injured you with his reckless behavior. You are working in a dangerous workshop setting, no place for horseplay. If y'all are in the US, he also needs to be made aware that, generally speaking, injuries caused by horseplay will not be paid out by workers' comp. Even if he doesn't kill someone, he could seriously ruin a few lives unless he manages to get his fidgeting under control. You are talking about true safety issues. Spinning around molten metal that hot. You could have lost a hand or limb. Not the asshole. You are a good guy for feeling like shit about being harsh, but this guy needs a serious wake-up call. You weren't teasing him about a quirk, like a bully. You were telling him he put you at risk and it was unacceptable. In a real workshop he would be fired on the spot. Not the asshole. The people who run the workshop are opening themselves up to legal action because of this guy. You need to speak to someone in charge and go up the chain until someone listens. Not the asshole. I don't know why the actual blacksmiths, or whoever is in charge, have not dealt out consequences. This is the type of safety hazard that is going to get someone grievously injured, or maimed, at some point in the future. I'm empathetic to someone having mental health issues. And I'd assert that someone having these sorts of issues perhaps should find an occupation that doesn't involve 800 degrees Celsius, 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, metal. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If he is this much of a safety hazard, he should not be in the forge. You need to bring this up to your master smith. Not the asshole. People who can't or won't be serious, safe shouldn't be working around hot metal. If something doesn't make the correct impression about the seriousness of the situation and his goofing around soon, eventually he will kill someone. I've seen the aftermath of that sort of lack of awareness in the road maintenance worker world, and people chopped in half by a speeding vehicle they didn't see are a pretty serious object lesson. Info Why is he in the shop if he is so dangerous? Am I the asshole for refusing to babysit for my sister? My F19 sister, 32, Mary, and her husband, 28, John, have twins, a boy and a girl, both 10 months old. My parents were ecstatic when they found out she was pregnant, as the twins were their first grandchildren and my sister had been struggling with getting pregnant for a while. I was happy for my sister and John, but I couldn't help wondering how they were going to handle this financially. They're in quite a bit of debt and both work long hours. My question was answered a few weeks ago when we had a big family dinner: me, parents, Mary, John, brother Mike, 21, brother Josh, 25, and his wife Sophie, 27. My sister announced she would be returning to work in 2 weeks, so they were gonna need everyone to chip in and babysit and to help out financially. I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked when I heard this because it sounded a bit ridiculous that they expected everyone to babysit their kids for free and to give them money for their debts. Mary went around the table asking everyone when they could watch the twins so she could draw up a roster and how much money they could spare. Everyone was contributing, and Sophie was even talking about trying to move her work shifts around so that she could babysit. I'm a full-time college student and I have a part-time job at a bakery, so I really have no time or cash to spare. I'm also not great with kids, especially babies. I literally have absolutely no idea how to take care of them. When Mary got around to me, she said she thought I could do the most hours since I was only in college and didn't have any serious commitments. Her whole attitude kind of annoyed me, and I told I wasn't going to be babysitting her kids or going to chip in money-wise, and that it was her decision to have kids, so it's her responsibility. The room went silent and my sister started crying and everyone started giving out to me for being selfish, and my mom said that in our family we take care of each other. I left the dinner because everyone was so mad at me and demanding I apologize. I agree that maybe I was a little blunt with her and maybe I should have offered to babysit once or twice, but I don't think I'm completely in the wrong. My family is still pissed at me and my parents are demanding I not only apologize to Mary and John but write them a check to help them out. I have like $70 in my bank account, so that's not gonna happen. I want to apologize for being rude, but I know they're still gonna expect help. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. What they are asking for is ridiculous. And them expecting you to do more because you're in college is just absurd. Edit. I forgot to add this earlier, I was in a rush. If the parents of these children really are in debt like Op said, then a baby should be the last thing on their mind. I think it is just unfair for a child be brought up in an environment like that. If they can't look after the baby, then they shouldn't even be raising the baby. I think adoption should have been an option here. Not the asshole. Their behavior is entitled as hell. It still may be best to apologize for being rude, and explain that you don't have any time or money to spare. Maybe offer that in the future you might be able to babysit if your schedule opens up, and you'll let them know, but right now it's a no. The beauty of that way is they think you've compromised, but then your schedule just somehow doesn't clear up. Yes, I have been voluntold to babysit for free before. How did you know? I'd say keep a dignified silence aside from a liberal use of the word no. Not the asshole. Your sister is an asshole for her demands. Not the asshole, you are in college. You didn't have a baby, so there is no need for you to look after or pay for their babies. What a pair of leeches. Not the asshole. You're 19 and still in school. Your older family members should be helping you, not the other way around. Also, 2 weeks is not enough time to arrange a full roster of childcare for twins. Your sister and her husband needed to start looking for care when they first discovered they were pregnant with twins, if not sooner. I was only in college and didn't have any serious commitments. Lol. Not the asshole. Your best bet right now is to clearly communicate your current position. Talk to them. Tell them what you told us. Not the asshole. As a parent, their behavior is just disgustingly entitled and infuriating. Don't have kids if you can't raise them. They're certainly not your problem, and if you want to contribute, then that's credit to you. Not the asshole. Not in the least. The entitlement of those people. If you don't have money, don't have babies. Don't apologize. You weren't rude, but they were.